When you think of an old conspiracy theory, what comes to your mind? I'm sure many of you can think of different ones off the top of your head, and I'm sure many of you at one point have heard of the word Illuminati, one of the most popular and oldest conspiracy theories from my childhood. But recently, I've heard nothing from it, and it's almost like it just disappeared. I felt like I heard of this conspiracy theory every single time when I was younger. I only came upon it when I was looking around for strange websites to make a video out of, and all of a sudden, there it was. I saw the logo and remembered, oh yeah, they exist. I can't be the only one though that has heard of the Illuminati, but has no idea what's the origin or the whole theory about them. Like, do they even exist in the first place, or are they just a silly conspiracy theory that took the world by storm back in the day? Well, the thought of a secret society or new world order controlling the world sparked my curiosity, so I decided to explore this rabbit hole to see whether this whole conspiracy theory even exists. And man, is there a lot that I didn't really know about this conspiracy theory, varying from secret societies to a new world government order, and to some of the silliest theories one can hear. Many see this to be a real secret society working underground and top secret, while many others see nothing other than a hoax and myth. But I feel like many don't actually know where and why this conspiracy theory even exists in the first place, and why it suddenly disappeared. So today I'm going to explain the history and theories of the Illuminati to the best of my ability.
I'm told the gesture is considered a symbol of the Illuminati.
True or false, Masons were behind the American Revolution?
False. False.
They gotta say, oh,
like an easy way out. Like,
yeah,
I can't make it because I'm not in the Illuminati.
exactly. Holmes is down with the devil.
Do you still think the royal family were shape-shifting lizards?
Yes, I do.
Have you been on the internet? People are out there saying that we're ruled by giant lizards.
And also mentioned NWO, or New World Order. That's a century-old conspiracy theory.
Am I a part of some type of sect or cult? That sounds stupid to me. It's like ignorant to even say.
So yeah, we're going to look into the theories and origins of the Illuminati, and hopefully by the end we'll come up with some type of conclusional answer to satisfy everyone's needs. But yeah, the audio of this video was recorded throughout several courses of different days, so my voice may change here and there. Just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, that's about it. I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time, so I hope you all enjoy the video. Well, just in case some of you actually don't really know what the Illuminati conspiracy theory is, allow me to briefly explain what it is. The Illuminati conspiracy theory is a belief that a secret organization called the Illuminati exists and is working behind the scenes to control world events. According to this theory, the Illuminati is a powerful and secretive group of elites, including politicians, bankers, and celebrities who manipulate global events, including wars, economic crisis, and political decisions. They believe that the Illuminati uses symbols and hidden techniques in popular culture to communicate with its members and to manipulate people. So yeah, that's kind of the whole theory behind the Illuminati. And now that you know what it is, let us continue. So, where to begin to start this video? Well, I do want to quickly mention before we go any deeper into this whole story and theory, to take all these things and historically accurate events with a grain of salt, because nobody actually knows if any of this stuff is even happened. Just keep that in mind during the video, because remember, it is just a conspiracy theory at the end of the day. Well, since I want this video to be in chronological order, what better place to begin than the beginning/origin point of the Illuminati? Who, what, when, why, how did the Illuminati begin? Well, I think I should explain what the word Illuminati even stands for. Well, the word Illuminati is the plural of the Latin word illuminatus, which means revealed or enlightened. The word was first used in the late 15th century, and it was applied to a variety of different groups. And that brings us to the consecutive order the Illuminati was first introduced to the world. The earliest of my findings is that the Illuminati was first used in 1492 by a Spanish historian named Marcelius Menéndez y Pelayo in the form of Aluminados. but none of that even matters because we're going to jump forward in time to the 18th century. Now you're probably wondering, wait, didn't you want this video to be in sequential order? Well, yeah, but allow me to explain. The early Illuminati was first introduced in the 15th century, but there isn't an exact group that made it popular during this time. It was more like a movement or references to various other groups. One of the early Illuminati groups was the Alumbrados, the Enlightened Ones, which was a movement that began in Spain in the 16th century. Another example of this is there was another group that claimed associations, going by the name Rosicrucians, to which they claim the group started way back in 1422, even though they only started getting public attention in the 16th century. So yes, technically there were origins and groups before the 18th century, but the groups and ideologies were kind of scattered all over the place. However, it wasn't until the 18th century when a certain individual created a group that was most closely associated with the name Illuminati. And this is where the Illuminati would begin its rise in popularity, or what many others would call it, the Age of Enlightenment. Now, just to be historically accurate, during this time era, we will be talking about the Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati is pretty much referring to the original Illuminati, the ones like who started it all. So every time we bring up the Bavarian Illuminati up in the video, I'm pretty much referring to the original Illuminati. But anyhow, back to the story. There is a man going by the name Adam Weishaupt, who just became a professor of canon law and practical philosophy at the University of Ingolstadt in 1773. However, there was a problem. This university was an institution run by Jesuits, whom Weishaupt did not follow. Now, for those wondering, Jesuits is a religious order of clerics, regular of pontifical right for men in the Catholic Church headquartered in Rome, and is also seen as the first religion ordered to operate colleges and universities as a principal and distinct ministry. This was a religion that Weishaupt did not follow, so the people at the university would make constant attempts to frustrate or upset non-clerical staff at the university, especially if any of the non-clerical staff's material contained anything the Jesuits regarded as liberal or Protestant. This type of behavior did not sit right with Weishaupt, so he said, fuck it, and soon he would become deeply anti-clerical. By the way, anti-clericalism is the opposition to any religious authority to which they seek to separate the church from public and political life. So, with this newfound opposition, this led him to wanting to spread the ideals of enlightenment through some secret society, to which he saw fit. Now, he found that Freemasonry can be quite difficult to form, so he decided, alright then, and founded his own society, which was to have a system of ranks or grades based on those in Freemasonry, but with his own agenda. Now, to clear up any confusion, I've been saying the word Freemasonry a couple of times, and we'll be hearing a lot of it later on, but what Freemasonry is, it's basically a brotherhood or some type of organization. So, on the 1st of May 1776, Weishaupt and 4 of his students would form their new order called Perfectionalists, taking the owl of Minerva as their group symbol. However, in April 1778, Weishaupt would make the decision to change the order to Illuminate Orden, or in other words, the Order of Illuminati. Now, some time would pass and the secret society would expand with one of its members, Massenhausen, being one of the most active ones trying to expand the society. Shortly after the creation of the Illuminati, Massen would soon recruit Xavier von Zwack, who was a former pupil of Weishaupt at the beginning of the significant administrative career. However, Weishaupt did not enjoy Massen's enthusiasm, and Weishaupt would see him as a liability, as Massen would often try to recruit unsuitable candidates. After realizing this, Weishaupt would pass the recruitment role and control to Zwack in München. This led to Massen graduating in 1778 and taking no further interest in the order and leaving it. With the departure of Massen, Zwack immediately applied himself to recruiting more mature and important individuals. By the end of the summer 1778, the order had apparently 27 members in 5 different commands, those being München, Ingolstadt, Ravensburg, Freisingen, and Eichstätt. It was during this early development in the order that Weishaupt realized that he would start to implement the system of ranks and grades. The order would have 3 grades of novice, mineral, and illuminated mineral, of which only the mineral grade involved a complicated ceremony. In this, the candidate was given secret signs and a password, and this system also allowed Weishaupt to be informed of the activities and characters of all his members, his favorites becoming members of his ruling council even. Now, it is important to note that Christians of good character were actively sought, with Jews and pagans specifically excluded, along with women, monks, and members of other secret societies. So, up to this point we know a couple of things: who the founder is, and what the purpose of the secret society is. We also know where these secret societies are located. Now, we are going to take a bit of a detour here and go back to February 1777. And the reason for this is because during this time, Weishaupt decided to join an older order to acquire more information to expand the Illuminati. He was admitted to Lodge Prudence of the Rite of Strict Observance early in February 1777. During his time in this organization, Weishaupt did not learn anything of the higher degree that he was looking for initially, but one of his members, Zwak, was informed by a priest called Abe Morotti that was there who knew inner secrets of the order religion and the primitive church. Zwak, learning about this newfound knowledge, persuaded Weishaupt to create their very own lodge for their own order. So we will hear the term lodge used a lot later on, but basically a lodge is just what it sounds like. It's just a building or location where secret societies meet up. So returning back to present time, on the 21st of March 1779, a warrant would be obtained from the Grand Lodge of Prussia called the Royal York for friendship, and the new lodge was called Theodore of the Good Counsel. The lodge was located in Munich, and by July it would be officially run by Weishaupt's order, with it quickly filling with Illuminati members. Now, with the creation of this lodge, the Illuminati quickly caught the attention of other lodges and established Masonic relationships with the Union Lodge in Frankfurt, affiliated to the Premier Grand Lodge of England. With the Illuminati finally getting some recognition, it was able to spawn more lodges of its own and finally declare its independence. The Illuminati was growing and spreading, gathering new like-minded individuals, and among recruitment, the Illuminati would recruit a certain man going by the name Adolph Knigge. Now remember this name because you'll be hearing a lot from him in the future. And it's also around this time that I must explain that the Illuminati is kind of taking a shift, and that there's no longer an exact leader of the organization. As you will see later on, one of the main goals of the Illuminati is to recruit very wealthy and powerful people. They seek people with high status and power. So just keep that in mind for the rest of the video. So where were we? Oh yes, Adolph Knigge. Knigge was recruited in the late 1780s at a convention of the Rite of Strict Observance by Castano Maestresi de Castano. Pretty sure I butchered that, but he was an infantry captain in the Bavarian army and a fellow Freemason. Now, you have to realize that Knigge was still in his 20s, but was very successful in his previous order, that being the Rite of Strict Observance one. He was said to be one of the highest grades in that order, and pretty much any that the order offered. However, after some time, Knigge had some grand plans of his own, and wanted to start his new order. But it was around that time that Costanzo let Knigge know that that one order he wished to create had already been created. With Knigge's interest at an all-time high, he wished to learn more about this particular order, that being the Illuminati. So, with persistence and effort, Knigge would finally receive a letter from the man himself, Weishaupt, inviting Knigge to the Illuminati. Weishaupt acknowledged that Knigge's connections both within and outside of Freemasonry made him an ideal recruit. Now, Weishaupt set Knigge the task of recruiting before he can be admitted to one of the higher grades of the order. Knigge accepted and started to recruit individuals who found the order attractive and were enrolled in the mineral grade of the Illuminati. It was also around this time that Knigge quickly rose among the ranks and was seen as one of the more superiors within the order. So, with this newfound position, Knigge welcomed the opportunity to use the order as a vehicle for his very own ideas, and so Knigge would announce to Weishaupt his new approach, which he claimed would make the Illuminati more attractive to some of the members in the Protestant kingdoms of Germany. Now, we don't know much more information about this, but we do know that Knigge did receive 50 florins from the Areopagus to travel to Bavaria to expand the Illuminati. Furthermore, I forgot to mention who the Areopagus were. The Areopagus was a council that was highly respected in Athens. Areopagus was seen as one of the most prestigious councils there were back in Athens. Now, why do I mention them? Well, you see, in July 1780, a problem would occur for the Illuminati. Well, you have to see that the Areopagus hated Weishaupt. They found him stubborn, dictatorial, and inconsistent. This would result Weishaupt and the Areopagus to have some friction among one another. But this is where our boy Knigge comes in. You see, Knigge would be the peacemaker in this position. Knigge would make discussions and talk with both Weishaupt and the Areopagus to get both their points of views. And upon doing this, Knigge identified two problems within the order of the Illuminati. The first one was Weishaupt's emphasis on the recruitment of university students. This meant that senior positions in the order often had to be filled by young men with little practical experience. The second one had to do with anti-Jesuit ethos of the order, and that the order had pretty much become anti-religious. This one seems to be one of the bigger problems within the order, with recruiting senior Freemasons that the order wanted to attract. Knigge realized these problems and understood that this might be an obstacle for expanding the Illuminati. Now, both the Areopagus and Weishaupt felt powerless to do anything less than give Knigge a free hand. He pretty much had all the leverage. Knigge was one of the actual few who had contacts within and outside of Freemasonry that they needed, and he had that skill as a ritualist to build their projected society. You see, the Illuminati wanted to be the very first Mother Lodge of a new illuminated Freemasonry. Now, this would be difficult to achieve since the order has to go through a whole process to officially become the first Mother Lodge, and it turns out a chapter of elect masters attach themselves to the Theodore Lodge that they have previously made, making it even more difficult to persuade the Areopagus to let them be the very first Mother Lodge. Bastards. However, eventually they signed a treaty of alliance between the Illuminati in this chapter of elect masters. By the end of January 1781, 4 daughter lodges had been created. Now, with Knigge finishing his master negotiations, it would be time for him to step into his initial plan. Knigge's initial plan to obtain a constitution from London would, they realized, have been seen through by the chapter. So, while waiting to take over some of the other lodges that the chapter could not control, they decided to rewrite some of their 3 decrees for the lodges that they had control of. Thus, on the 20th of January 1782, Knigge listed his new system of grades for the order. These were laid out into 3 classes. Class 1 would be nursery, consisting of the Novicates and the Mineral and Illuminatis Minor. Class 2 would be the Masonic grades. The 3 Blue Lodge grades of Apprentice, Companion, and Master were separated from the higher Scottish grades of Scottish Novice and Scottish Knight. And finally, Class 3, which would be called the Mysteries. The lesser mysteries were the grades of Priest and Prince, followed by the greater mysteries in the grades of Mage and King. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't really know why they use these terms and phrases, but there they are. So now that they have laid out their new system and lodges across locations, it was now time to expand, bigger than ever. Knigge is an absolute warlord, and Weishaupt honestly should just give up his leadership position and given it to Knigge. Knigge went from every German Freemasonry he could find and convinced their masters and wardens to join the Illuminati. This would most times cause their entire lodge to join the order, and with this, the order expanded rapidly in central and southern Germany, and even obtained a foothold in Austria. How neat. However, in Munich, the first half of 1782 saw huge changes in the government of Lodge Theodore. In February, Weishaupt had offered to split the lodge with the Illuminati going their own way, and the chapter taking any remaining pieces into their own continuation of Theodore. However, the chapter simply just surrendered the control of Theodore Lodge, and this gave the Illuminati complete control of the lodge. On the other hand, the Freemasonry of the Rite of Strict Observance was now in critical state. Now, the Observants knew they were struggling and were doomed to fail due to its power and complications within leadership. they were going to have no choice but to completely abandon the Freemasonry, until the Illuminati presented themselves as a credible option. This first prompted and assisted by Knigge, who now had full authority to act for the order, became their spokesman. Now Knigge's plan was to make an alliance between the two orders. However, this would be rejected by Weishaupt, who said he saw no point in an alliance with a dying order. So his new plan was to recruit the Masons opposed to the Templar higher degree of the strict observance. Now, a lot of stuff happens during this time period, and a bunch of new characters are introduced, but I don't really find it crucial to the story, so just to save time, at the end pretty much a strict observance order meets its demise, and ultimately members from the order get absorbed and join the Illuminati. Following this new expansion, in January 1783, Knigge and Weishaupt would attempt to continue expanding the Illuminati. Weishaupt proposed a new federation where all the German lodges would practice and agree to a unified system in the essential 3 degrees of Freemasonry. This would basically mean that there would be a collage of grand lodges where members can access for free in any justification. These in turn would elect provincial directorates, who would elect inspectors, who would elect the national director. Now, to Weishaupt and Knigge, their sole purpose to present this federation to the German Grand Lodges was to hopefully spread more Illuminism throughout the German Freemasonry. For how it says on the wiki, remove all allegiance to strict observance, allowing the eclectic system of the Illuminati to take its place. Now, just to save time, but still keep the story in chronological order, there is quite a bit that happens in this time, but honestly I got confused and didn't understand where all these different lodges were coming from. But all we need to know is that by the end of January 1783, the Illuminati's Masonic contingents had 7 lodges, and most of all, the Freemasons most likely to be attracted to the Federation saw the Illuminati as an ally against the Mystics and Martinists, but valued their own freedom too highly to be caught in another restrictive organization. Now, do not get confused here, but the Mystics and Martinists are simply just another Freemasonry / organization. Now, the Illuminati did not see them as a threat, but after some discussion, just said why not, and the Illuminati lodges joined the new alliance. 3 Illuminati now sat on the committee charged with writing the new Masonic statutes. However, the Illuminati did not gain any type of advantage from building relations with them. The Illuminati's attempts to recruit a large number of people through Freemasonry had pretty much failed, but they were still successful at recruiting individuals. In Bavaria, Charles Theodore's succession initially led to a liberalization of attitudes and laws. However, the clergy and courtiers, protecting their own power and privilege, persuaded the weak-willed monarch to reverse his reforms, which resulted in the repression of liberal thought returned to Bavaria. The Illuminati realized this reversal and took advantage of it to recruit more members. Illuminati circles in the rest of Germany quickly expanded, and the total of verifiable members at the end of 1784 was around 650. However, Weishaupt and Hertel later claimed a figure of 2,500, so we know it's around 650 or 2,500 members, including all the lodge members as well. The order was said to have massive power, giants back in their time. Now, originally I was going to say all the names, but I'm going to butcher all of them, so I'm just going to show them on screen. Now, I don't know who any of these people are, but apparently they're important. Now, with the growth of the Illuminati within Germany, it wouldn't take long until another CERN Germany Freemasonry would notice the expansion of the Illuminati, those being Rosicrucians. Yeah, remember how in the beginning of the video I mentioned them briefly? Well, they're back, and their beliefs do not align with the Illuminati's vision. In fact, the Illuminati knew that expanding in Germany would result in this, so that is why they tried their best to avoid them as best as possible. So the news would spread throughout Germany, Freemasonry, and the Illuminati would get a bit of backlash. The Illuminati would start getting attacked, getting false claims, and being accused of Socinism and of using the liberal writings of Voltaire and others, alongside the tolerance of Freemasonry, to undermine all religion. All Berlin Masons were now warned about how dangerous the Illuminati order was. And even in Austria, the Illuminati were blamed for anti-religion pamphlets that had recently appeared. In November 1783, the three globes described the Illuminati as a Masonic sect which sought to undermine Christianity and turn Freemasonry into a political system. And to put the cherry on top, one of the members of the Bavarian Illuminati betrayed the Illuminati by leaving and going to join the Rosicrucians. However, that didn't last long, as the Rosicrucians soon found out that they were a previous member and kicked them out, leaving them with no order to join. But in spite of all those accusations and false claims, the Illuminati still embraced Freemasonry and expanded outside Bavaria even more. Ultimately, the Council of Areopagus was replaced by an inefficient council of pontificals. However, they still remained as powerful voices within the order and began again to bicker with Weishaupt as soon as Knigge left to Munich. Alternatively, Weishaupt had considered that he had given a bit too much power to Knigge by allowing him to write the ritual for his order. However, Weishaupt realized that that was power that he wanted once again. You come to find that Knigge has transformed the order from a small anti-clerical group into a large organization. He felt that his efforts had not been received enough recognition. Knigge's mysticism and Weishaupt's persistent anti-clericalism always came into conflict. Weishaupt demanded that Knigge rewrite the ritual. However, Knigge pointed out that it was already circulated with Weishaupt's blessing as ancient. Weishaupt did not like this and spread it among the Illuminati members that the priest's ritual was flawed because Knigge had invented it. Knigge, being upset by Weishaupt's actions, made Knigge threaten to tell the world how much of the Illuminati ritual he had made up. When Knigge cannot get through Weishaupt, he looked towards the Areopagus for assistance. However, it turns out most of them didn't even trust him. They trusted him even less than they trusted Weishaupt, with Knigge feeling backstabbed and underappreciated, as he was the one person who made the Illuminati as big as it was, now had nothing. So, on the 1st of July 1784, Knigge stated that he could no longer endure Weishaupt's pedantic domineering, which frequently assumed offensive forms. He accused Weishaupt of Jesuism and suspected him of being a Jesuit himself, in disguise. And was I, he adds, to labor under his banner for mankind, to lead men under the yoke of so stiff-necked a fellow? Never. Weishaupt had now just forced one of the Illuminati's best members out of the order. However, after this final decision from Weishaupt, it would only go downhill from here for the Illuminati. The indiscretions of the Illuminati's own minerals in Bavaria, particularly in Munich, led to the Illuminati's ultimate demise. The secret order's existence, as well as the names of many important members, became common knowledge despite efforts by the superiors to curb loose talk. Several anti-religious publications that were published in Bavaria at the time were attributed to the Illuminati. A lot of this criticism was motivated by vengeance and jealousy, but it is clear that many Illuminati core officials treated their fellow members better than anyone else, and politically dangerous boast of power and criticism of the monarchy was leading to massive recognition for the order. Now, with all this criticism and attention that the Illuminati was now receiving, this would alarm Charles Theodore and his governments. By the way, I never mentioned him, but Charles Theodore was basically a powerful individual and prince during this time and age. But anyhow, Charles Theodore would ultimately be the nail in the coffin for the Illuminati. Charles Theodore and his government would ban all secret societies in Bavaria, including the ban of the Illuminati. On the 2nd of March 1785, a government edict would finally take place banning all secret societies. Weishaupt would flee, and documents and internal correspondence would be seized in 1786 and 1787 and were subsequently published by the government in 1787. Now, after this, there is not a lot of information about the disbandment of the Illuminati, with Weishaupt fleeing from Bavaria and the Freemasonry organization being technically illegal. There just isn't too much information about what happened afterwards. After Weishaupt's order of the Illuminati was banned and its members dispersed, it left behind like no enduring traces of influence, not even on its own erstwhile members, who went on to develop in quite different directions. Now, of course, government officials were ordered to hunt down any remaining members of the Illuminati, and those that were caught were arrested and sentenced to prison. and it got so bad that by 1787, just being a member of the Illuminati might have received you the death penalty. But was this really the end of the Illuminati? Would they simply vanish and disband after all these years? Well, it turns out that between 1797 and 1798, nearly 10 years later after the secret society ban in Bavaria, Augustin Birol and John Robinson would both make books that raised many questions and would eventually represent the ongoing international conspiracy that we know today. Augustin Birol's memoirs illustrating the history of Jacobinism and John Robinson's proofs of a conspiracy publicized the theory that the Illuminati had survived and is still out there today. This included the claim that it was behind the French Revolution, and both books proved to be very popular, sparing reprints and paraphrases by others. The works of Robinson's and Birol made their way to the United States and across New England, spreading across the land and getting a lot of attention. The printed sermons were soon accompanied by newspapers reports that became a prominent topic of political debate leading up to the 1800s United States presidential election. These newspaper accounts played a significant role in the shaping of the discourse surrounding the election. The works contributed to significant public concern over the survival and activities of the secret Illuminati, leaving many questions for those who were unfamiliar about the Bavarian Illuminati. There were accusations against the Illuminati. It was believed that they were trying to secretly promote radical ideas and movements like being against the church, the monarchy, and male dominance. They aimed to create a world run by the most intelligent people, with a focus on reason. This fear of the Illuminati was so strong in Europe during the 19th century that it caused the ruling classes to react oppressively, which ironically led to the very revolutions they wanted to avoid. And even during the period between the two world wars in the 20th century, there were propagandists who promoted the idea of an Illuminati conspiracy. Among them were British historian Nesta Helen Webster and American social elite Edith Starr Miller. They not only popularized the conspiracy theory but also claimed that the Illuminati was a secret society serving Jewish elites. The group supposedly supported finance capitalism and Soviet communism as a way to divide and rule the world. In the United States, conspiracy theorists in the fundamentalist Christian movement, led by evangelist Gerald Burton Winrod, also spread Illuminati conspiracy theories. This movement emerged in the 1910s as a backlash against the principles of Enlightenment, secular humanism, modernism, and liberalism. It pretty much became the main way that the Illuminati conspiracy theory was disseminated in the US. More councils and right-wing populists in this time began to accuse certain organizations of creating a plot to create a new world order through a one-world government. And that would bring us to another conspiracy theory, which would be the New World Order. Now, in my humble opinion, the New World Order conspiracy theory is a completely other video just on its own. The New World Order has the same or even more theories and information than the Illuminati theory, but the reason I even bring up the New World Order is because I see that a lot of people, including myself, used to think that the New World Order conspiracy theory was the same as the Illuminati one, except to my surprise when doing research, they have completely different goals. And I believe now that it's best to talk about modern time Illuminati, just not to confuse myself and others. You see, let me make this perfectly clear. Nowadays, or in current time, the words Illuminati, New World Order, Freemasonry are all pretty much used interchangeably. They all mean the same thing. And that's why previously we were talking about the Bavarian Illuminati, which are the originals. But now we're going to make the transition and talk about modern time Illuminati. And that's why I got so confused about why I thought the New World Order and the Illuminati were the same. Just to make it simple, the New World Order is basically modern time Illuminati, and the Bavarian Illuminati is nothing like the New World Order. The Bavarian Illuminati and the New World Order do not aim for the same goal. You see what I'm saying? The phrase Illuminati nowadays is just a phrase that means some type of secret society. It can be used interchangeably. So, for this section of the video, we will be referring to today's modern time Illuminati as the New World Order. So, what is the New World Order conspiracy theory? Well, many speculate that the New World Order is the current reincarnation of the Illuminati, except with different goals. The Bavarian Illuminati aim to have freedom above all forms of control, while the New World Order aims to control society through a one-world government, which will replace every nation-state. Many theorize that a secretive group of powerful individuals or organizations are working behind the scenes to establish a single world government or a global totalitarian regimen. And this is a theory that you hear a lot nowadays, the conspiracy theory that is the most popular among the rest. Nevertheless, when did the New World Order theory get introduced? Well, the term New World Order was first used around the Cold War era during the 20th century. So in the 20th century, some important political figures like Woodrow Wilson and Winston Churchill talked about this thing called the New World Order. They used this term to describe a big change that was happening in how people thought about politics and how power was spread around the world, especially after World War I and World War II. It was a whole new era, and they wanted to give it a name that would capture how important it was. After the two world wars, some international organizations and systems like the United Nations were created, but some people said that these initiatives had a problem. They weren't very democratic. Because of this, they weren't enough to stop another war from happening, and they couldn't really create fairness around the world either. The United Nations was set up to be a group of independent nation states, not a way to move toward democratic world government. Since this, people all over the world who wanted to see big changes on a global scale formed a group movement called World Federalism. They felt like international organizations weren't good enough, so they wanted to work toward a more democratic world government. Back in the 1940s, H.G. Wells, a British writer and futurist, took the idea of a new world order even further than the progressives of its time. He changed the meaning of the term to describe something very specific, the creation of a technocratic world state and an economy that was planned out in advance. This idea caught on especially with people who supported state socialism. They thought that Wells had some good ideas, and they liked the idea of a planned economy that could be managed on a global scale. And this is when the idea of the New World Order would start to rise and have some potential. This fear became a core idea of the political right in the US though, with the belief that liberals and progressives contribute to global collectivism, leading to a communistic one-world government. So taking a step further in the future, it would then be brought up again in the 1960s, when advocacy groups like John Birch Society spread many conspiracy theories. They claimed that both the US and Soviet governments were controlled by corrupt politicians, greedy bankers, and corporate internationalists who wanted to use the United Nations to create a one-world government. These conspiracy theories fueled anti-globalist sentiments and calls for the US to withdraw from the UN. Mary M. Davidson, an American writer, wrote a booklet in 1966 called The Profound Revolution, where she traced the New World Order conspiracy back to the establishment of the US Federal Reserve in 1913 by international bankers. So if you think about it, the New World Order is technically just a bunch of old banking families and aristocracy. Through the years leading up to the 1990s, there has been more talk about this new sprung conspiracy theory, and many would begin to theorize even more when George H.W. Bush gives one of the speeches delivered on the 11th of September 1990, who states, quote, "Until now, the world we've known has been a world divided, a world of barbed wire and concrete block, conflict, and the Cold War. Now we can see a new world coming into view, a world in which there is the genuine prospect of New World Order. In the words of Winston Churchill, a world order in which the principles of justice and fair play protect the weak against the strong. A world where the United Nations, freed from Cold War stalemate, is poised to fulfill the historic visions of its founders. A world in which freedom and respect for human rights find a home among all nations." Now, in my humble opinion, I don't think he was referring to the conspiracy theory. I think he was just literally talking about a new world that doesn't involve war and conflict. However, you already know that conspiracy theorists did not look at it that way. Investigative reporter Chip Burlett pointed out that both Christian and secular far-right groups were particularly fearful of Bush's speech, with fundamentalist Christian groups interpreting it as a sign of the end times. Meanwhile, more secular theorists were concerned about the United Nations gaining hegemony over all countries and approached it from an anti-communist and anti-collectivist perspective. The conspiracy theory would spread even further when an American televangelist, Pat Robertson, published his 1991 best-selling book, The New World Order, and it became the most prominent Christian disseminator of conspiracy theories about recent American history. And from here, it keeps going to anything, ranging from magazines, content, TV shows, speeches, rallies, news, Hollywood, movies, music, markets, presidents, assassinations. The list goes on. Many believe that JFK's assassination was done by the New World Order. Now, I don't entirely disagree that it was performed by a government organization, because I'm almost positive it was done by the CIA, but that's a video for another time. And you better bet that the conspiracy theories would get even wilder as the years go on. Some would start to compare it to their religion, such as the Christian Bible or the Elders of Zion, or some even thought maybe it's the aliens, population control, or even worse, mind control. According to skeptics, concerned about the population control can be traced back to significant events in American history. The first is the eugenics movement's war against the weak that occurred during the early 1900s, which left a traumatic legacy. The second event is the second Red Scare that happened in the United States, which also contributed to the development of such fears. And even more recently, it got more significant attention in the late 2010s, following that up with global health threats of 2019 with the breakout of coronavirus. At that point in time, individuals who opposed or refused to have their children vaccinated were commonly referred to anti-vaxxers. However, it was not very common for them to cite the New World Order conspiracy theory or express resistance to a supposed population control plan as their reasons for refusing vaccination. High-tech weaponry, or satanic rituals ruled by Lucifer, massive surveillance, and even Nazis, but it keeps going. As you can imagine by now, I've gone kind of all over the place. And yes, I have. Also, I forgot to mention that the symbolism that the US presented certainly didn't help either. Since 1782 on the Great Seal on the reverse side, it reads Novus Ordo Secularum. I probably butchered that, but what does that mean? Well, it means New Order of the Ages. The US $1 also has it since 1935, where many conspiracy theorists claim this is an allusion to the New World Order. Also, while we're on this topic, have any of you seen this logo? Of course you have, but where exactly is it from? Well, it's called the Eye of Providence. The origins of this symbol can be traced back to ancient Egyptian and Greek cultures, where the symbol of the eye is associated with the goddess Wadjet and Athena respectively. The modern use of the Eye of Providence in the United States can be traced back to the Great Seal of the United States, which was first used in 1782. Did I already mention that? I believe I did. So you see now, I've kind of gone all over the place. And the reason for this is because the conspiracy theory is just spread and gone in so many different directions that it's now just dissolved into a literal conspiracy theory rather than a literal group like the Bavarian Illuminati. There is only one thing we can do now, which is speculate. TV shows, films, games, music, books, and comics, religion, these are all things that have spread this conspiracy theory even further than it's ever been. So, the concept of the New World Order has been a topic of discussion and debate for several decades. In its broadest sense, it refers to a possible future global political order in which nation-states cooperate and operate within a framework of international law and institutions. However, the phrase New World Order has also been used by some conspiracy theorists to describe a secretive and nefarious global power structure, often involving powerful elites, shadowy organizations that seek to control the world's government and financial systems. So, where do we go from here? Well, I guess I should give my take on the whole theory and come up with a logical answer. I'm going to say this. Oh yes, I'm going to say it. Here it goes. There is no concrete evidence to support the existence of such a conspiracy. I really hope you all saw it coming, because at the end of the day, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it simply is just a conspiracy theory. We, in the general public, probably will never know anything behind governed doors, and most mainstream scholars and experts will dismiss such claims as baseless and not real, but at the same time spread misinformation. So, whether the New World Order is real or not, I guess it depends on how one defines it. But just because it's a conspiracy theory doesn't mean it's not fun to think or talk about. Everything nowadays is a conspiracy theory. There will always be that one group of people that believe anything is run by the government. And I'm not saying that it isn't true. I'm sure there are many things that are controlled by the government or state organizations. But what I am saying is that we might never know. The idea of a world government controlling every single world decision and controlling everybody's actions is pretty interesting and scary at the same time, but odds of something like that ever being true is pretty low. But who knows, maybe there is an Illuminati, Freemasonry, or New World Order that's controlling all traffic and media to one day rule the world. But until then, it's just a conspiracy theory that was once forgotten. Yeah, but that pretty much wraps up the video. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I really hope it was as entertaining for you guys to stick around to the end. And if you did, thank you very much for sticking around. This video took quite a while to make, you know, just editing, scripting, rendering it out. It took quite a while to make, I'm not gonna lie. And hopefully, I hope that more in the future, my video quality and just overall just narration, editing, scripting, just everything in general about the video will improve hopefully on in the future. I'm always trying to improve my just overall quality of the video and style of it, I guess. But yeah, nothing else really else to say other than thank you so much for watching. I hope it was worth your guys' time. But yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.